Hey guys, welcome back to another collab video. I hope you guys are enjoying the content on the channel right now. It's a little bit late at night. It's like midnight right now. I'll be posting this on the 15th. The reason why my camera is or my computer is set up a little bit differently is because my bed is a mess. And the reason why I'm recording at midnight is because I came home from work and I decided to crash. So now I have a little bit of energy, so might as well just do a video. And there's a lot of stuff that's been going on in the world of movies that I would like to discuss. Some stuff that happened today, some trailers dropped, and some other bits of news that we're going to get into. So might as well just jump right into it. I plan to do a review for, I believe Mortal Kombat is coming out this weekend, so I'll definitely be doing a review for Mortal Kombat. And of course some other films as well. Might do a review for Thunder Force. Yeah, the Melissa McCarthy thing. I might do a review on that. But in the meantime, I'm going to post this video up until I get another review out. So, but anyways, let's get into the topics for today. So the first topic we're going to talk about today is something that I find a little comical because of our talk of the subject, and that is of course the HBO Max deal. The HBO Max deal right now has been proving to be actually worthwhile, with Godzilla vs. Kong being the highest grossing film now in the pandemic era. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the film is a huge success. That just means that from pandemic standards, it's doing really, really well. From a standard box office return, though, it's not doing that great. It's doing okay for what it's doing. It's on the same beaten path as the other MonsterVerse films have in terms of box office returns. Well, according to the WarnerMedia CEO, apparently, and this is why I find this story comical, he has now openly admitted that yes, the HBO Max strategy was poor judgment. Here's what he said. According to the IndieWire, this is a statement from WarnerMedia CEO, which is this. There's no doubt that it was bumpy back in early December of last year, he said, adding that if he could do it over again, he'd likely give more of an advance warning to members of Hollywood before dropping the bomb. If I had the chance to do it over again, I think it's very fair to say that we would have taken a couple more days to see if we could have had even more conversations than we were able to have. Now he doesn't say that the idea of it was bad. He was just saying that the actual execution of said idea is not, a great strategy. And it wasn't the best judgments to make. And of course, obviously, you pissed off a bunch of studios and a bunch of distributors, a bunch of actors, producers, writers. You pissed off everybody. To translate what he basically said in that is that we messed up. We didn't discuss it further. We admit our fault. And now, I also think he's also admitting within this quote that the strategy itself, the plan, is not really working. And we'll get more into that in a second. Because look at 2022. We're not moving forward with that plan. You know why? Because this plan is not working. And here's why. First things first. This speaks volumes about the overall success of the HBO Max deal, not just the handling of it. It's the overall success of the HBO Max deal. Godzilla vs. Kong is the only film proven from this deal to work. Everything else has flopped. Wonder Woman 1984 has flopped. The Snyder Cut had flopped. A bunch of other films had flopped. The CEO kind of indirectly also stated that Wonder Woman 1984 flopped with saying like there's no doubt that it was bumpy back in early December. I know he's probably talking more about the fallout from it, but I'm pretty sure also from the first film out the gate, Wonder Woman 1984, pretty sure it didn't do the business that they were hoping that Godzilla vs. Kong is actually doing. Also, you have to think from a business point of view. You would never say this if something was working. Always remember, a company would never admit fault if something was working. This, to me, speaks a lot on how the HBO Max plan is just not working beyond Godzilla vs. Kong. And for anybody who is denying it, this statement, the fact that the statement is even out here, yes, he's not talking about the overall success. He's talking about the handling of it. But the fact that he's even admitting some fault about the HBO Max deal speaks volumes about the overall success of the HBO Max plan, which is that it's not working. And to bring up another point that I think I might have just brought up a little bit earlier, they're going back to the old release model in 2022. So yeah, they're clearly telling people that this plan has not been working for us. We can't backtrack from it. We did it. We have to move forward with it for 2021 because we're not going to piss off all of our consumers because we've marketed the hell out of this plan. We're going to move forward with it for this year, but it's not working out for us. We need another Godzilla versus Kong, and believe me, they do. But I don't think that they understand that, or at least before they didn't understand how the strategy was going to hurt them. And I'm seeing now through this statement and just them announcing for 2022, them really going back to the old model of things, that I think that they are starting to notice, and through the statement are kind of admitting also that this is not really working out for them. So I think this statement holds more water than people are giving credit for, because people are just saying, oh, he's talking about just the handling, the obvious, like, yeah, you shouldn't have pissed off all the actors, all the writers, all the directors. That's obvious. They shouldn't have done that at all. But I think he's also admitting that the HBO Max strategy itself is not working out for them. And I think that hence why we're going back to the old release models in 2022 for Warner Brothers. So I just think it holds more water than we're giving it credit for. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that. I think it speaks volumes to what I've been saying for months, which is that I think this strategy is not a great idea, and I think that WarnerMedia is now starting to recognize it. If this was all working out for them, this statement wouldn't be out here. Okay, it wouldn't be out here. They wouldn't put out a statement like this in any sense. Okay, even if they pissed off all their filmmakers and all that stuff, they wouldn't put out a statement like this. They wouldn't. So I think they're showing their hand. I think that they're showing us that, yeah, this strategy is not really working, and kind of indirectly telling us that this strategy has been, besides Godzilla vs. Kong, not beneficial to us as a company, and thus that's why we're returning to our release models in 2020, or older release models in 2022. So I think this holds more water than people are giving it credit for. So, speaking of release dates, let's talk about the big topic for today, which is that Paramount Pictures has made a big shuffle in some of their big films. I have them all in order in terms of where they fall now in their new release dates. So let's get into it. So Paramount Pictures, the first film that had moved, or the first film out of these new delays and shifts that will be coming out, will be Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe Origins. It has moved from October 2nd, 2021 to July 3rd, 2021. Now that we'll talk about that film in a second and why that's pretty important. Jackass 5 has now moved to September 3rd of 2021. I'm not sure what the original release date was for it, but is now moved to September 3rd, 2021. Top Gun Maverick, yes, Top Gun Maverick, which was originally supposed to be set for 4th of July, has now moved to the fall. So it's now removed from the summer season. It is now coming out in the fall of 2021, November 19th to be exact. Mission Impossible 7, which was originally supposed to come out on that release date, November 19th, which is now given to Top Gun Maverick, has now moved all the way to 2022, specifically May 27th. And the big one of the shifts, which we'll talk about in a second, is Dungeons & Dragons, which moved from May 27th of 2022 all the way to March 3rd, 2023. Yeah. We'll talk about that one in a second. And the last one is Mission Impossible 8, because if you guys forget, Mission Impossible 7 and 8 were originally supposed to be shot back to back, so that's why the dates were so close together. That's no longer the case now for these projects. But now Mission Impossible 8 was originally supposed to come out on November 4th of 2022, but now it has moved all the way to July 7th of 2023. So, some key observations based on the delays and shifts from Paramount. First thing is first. I think that Paramount has huge faith in Snake Eyes. They are putting it in the meat of the summer season, so they must have confidence with Snake Eyes if they are pushing it up a full 3 months. I think that that really speaks a lot to how their confidence in Snake Eyes. Now, the opposite of that, I think that Paramount also has some small hopes for Dungeons and Dragons, because the huge delay speaks a lot more volumes in their fate, in the financial gain that they could have with this thing. So pushing it all the way back there, I think, speaks a lot to it. And a little small thing, Mission Impossible 7 is now opening the same day as John Wick 4, so you're probably going to hear some Lionsgate shuffles in the next couple days, because John Wick 4 will obviously move, because Mission Impossible 7 has more of an audience than John Wick, and would make more money opening weekend, bar none. But yeah, I think that the most interesting ones were Snake Eyes and Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons was like that huge delay. I mean, went all the way from the summer of 2022 all the way to the beginning of 2023. That is a huge delay, and I think that again, that speaks to the confidence that the company has in Dungeons and Dragons versus Snake Eyes. So I really think that they have more faith in Snake Eyes. That's why they're pushing it for the summer season, the meat of the summer season. Again, July 23rd, right in the meat of things. So yeah, I don't think they have much faith in Dungeons and Dragons, so that's why they're pushing it so far away. But hey, maybe they need more time on it. I don't know, but I think it speaks to their confidence that they don't have much confidence with Dungeons and Dragons. So, but yeah, those are all the delays and shifts in that end. So now let's move on to speaking of more about releases. Let's talk about Netflix. Netflix has been in the news for a little bit. They've been getting a lot of interesting things, most recently with the Knives Out 2 and 3 deal with Rian Johnson. Well, it looks like that they have struck another deal now with Sony Pictures. Netflix will now be housing home releases for Sony Pictures starting in 2022. And I have the article here from Variety, which I'm going to read. Just reading basically just a little excerpt of what they talked about. So, quote, Netflix has emerged the winner of a nearly 2-year auction for the exclusive U.S. rights to stream Sony Pictures theatrical releases in the first paid TV window starting with the studio's 2022 slate. Netflix has also set a first-look agreement with Sony for all the studio's original movies produced for the direct-to-streaming market. That deal also requires Netflix to commit to a certain number of titles from the studio, but it doesn't stop Sony from selling direct-to-streaming titles to Netflix's rivals. In that case, however, Netflix would have to pass on the project for Sony to be able to sell it to another streamer. As part of the pact, Netflix will license an unspecified number of older titles from Sony's movie vault. Sony Pictures' primary pay TV partner has been Starz, now owned by Lionsgate since 2006. The new theatrical output deal with Netflix, which only covers the US, is believed to run about 5 years and is undoubtedly worth hundreds of millions of dollars, no doubt about it, to the studio over the term. Industry sources said Sony executives are working on another significant theatrical movie licensing pact outside the Netflix agreement. Netflix already had a deal with Sony Pictures for all of its animated releases. Starting with next year's slate, all movies from the various film banners on the Culver City lot, including Columbia Pictures, Sony Pictures Classics, Screen Gems, and TriStar Pictures, will stream exclusively on Netflix after their theatrical and home entertainment releases. That promises to bring to Netflix future installments of the Spider-Man, Venom, and Jumanji franchises, among others. The Pay 1 window usually begins about 9 months after a film's theatrical release, although that timetable may have been sped up for Netflix. Over the course of the pandemic, Sony has sold multiple titles to Netflix outright, including Kevin Hart's Fatherhood, which is like another dramatic piece that he's trying to do, and the animated films The Mitchells versus the Machines, which was named something else, right? I believe it was named like Connected or something. I think that's what the original title was called. And Wish Dragon. And this is a quote from Scott Stober from the Netflix's global film head. Sony Pictures is a great partner, and we are thrilled to expand our relationship through this forward-thinking agreement. This not only allows us to bring this impressive slate of beloved film franchises and new IP to Netflix in the US, but it also establishes a new source of first-run films for Netflix movie lovers worldwide. So, that was a bunch to read. So what does that mean? Well, to put it in short, if you want to see these movies once they're available to stream, Netflix will be the place to go to watch Sony's offerings once they've made their way to home release. So no HBO Max or Disney Plus strategy for Sony, it sounds like. Just a business as usual, but now has a direct streaming home for their properties. This is a big win for Netflix. They now have some leverage in the streaming competition because of this. Because Netflix has been, I mean, obviously they've been shopping everywhere, right? Like I said, Godzilla vs. Kong, James Bond. Now they were able to get Knives Out. This is a big win for them because it gives them a little bit more leverage in the streaming wars. And now they have some titles to keep for their own. Like if you want to watch Spider-Man, you're going to have to come over here. If you want to watch Venom, you're going to have to come over here. If you want to watch Jumanji, you're going to have to come over here. Or any other types of films from Sony's library, you're going to have to come over to Netflix. It also they've had some titles in their library beyond the original programming, and purchases like Knives Out most recently. That's like that also give much more. Much more like to how am I saying it? A lot more to their brand and a lot more appeal to their brand with stuff like Knives Out 2 and 3. So this only adds to it. And I think that I think this is a very big win because you will have more of an incentive to buy Netflix or to keep in your Netflix subscription. It's not just for the originals. It's not just for the other movies that they have coming out. You also have the luxury of watching all the Sony films that come from 2022 after the theatrical run and all that stuff. You'll be able to watch it through Netflix. So basically, you'll be able to watch Spider-Man: No Way Home, Venom: Let There Be Actually, no, not Venom. None of those movies. Like Into the Spider-Verse 2, Venom 3, Jumanji 4. Is it 4? I think Jumanji 3, whatever. Once those films have gone through a theatrical window and a home release, when you look for it on streaming, you will have to go to Netflix to watch those movies. And I think that that's a great deal for Netflix, and I think it's going to give them, again, some leverage within the streaming competition. So I think that's a great deal. And I already have my Netflix subscription, so I'm happy. So I'll be able to watch the Sony films. But speaking of films, let's talk about a film that it feels like we've talked about it forever, or at least like in terms of the narrative, the media narrative, it sounds like we've talked about this film forever. Indiana Jones 5. Now, Indiana Jones is my favorite film franchise. I love Indiana Jones. I used to cosplay as Indiana Jones. I read books on Indiana Jones. That's how deep I got into Indiana Jones. I love Indiana Jones, played the video games, watched the movies excessively as a kid. I really love Indiana Jones. Well, we know that Indiana Jones 5 is happening. At least we've heard it for many years. Harrison Ford will be back. Steven Spielberg will not be coming back, which that already gave me, alarms started going on in my head where I was like, uh-oh, if Steven Spielberg's not coming back, something's up. And then they announced that James Mangold is coming in, and I like James Mangold as a filmmaker, but it's still, the idea of not having Steven Spielberg is troubling to me. And I'm still a little bit nervous on that end. But we got some news regarding the film from a casting point of view and from a little composer that you may all know, in the name of John Williams. He'll be back to returning to do the score for Indiana Jones 5, of course. And Phoebe Waller-Bridge, if that name sounds familiar, she is the creator, the actress, and I believe the writer of Fleabag. She will be co-starring alongside Harrison Ford. So she will be the female lead of Indiana Jones 5. and they are hoping to begin production this summer. We've heard something like that before, so don't hold your breath. Don't be like, oh, it's finally happening. We don't know. We don't know yet. We are getting some more news, which is exciting. The film has a release date of July 29th of 2022. So they are hopefully will be getting underway this year, but I'll believe it when I see it because I need to see set photos for me to actually believe that this is happening, because all this sounds great. Steven Spielberg not returning, I really want Steven Spielberg to be a part of this, because there's 3 components to making an Indiana Jones movie, in my opinion: Steven Spielberg, Harrison Ford, and John Williams. If you don't have all 3 of those components, then you can't make an Indiana Jones movie. That's just my opinion. And if I had Steven Spielberg there, I don't know. I mean, I'm a little nervous. And I've never seen Fleabag, so I can't say how I would feel about Phoebe Waller-Bridge being a part of this franchise. But, this is obviously Harrison Ford's last go, so I'm curious to know what the story will be and how she plays into the film. But, yeah, I'm really happy to hear that John Williams is coming back. I'm a bit concerned, with Steven Spielberg not returning, especially also hearing why he's not returning. He was saying like scheduling conflicts or something. More or less, it was like a creative thing. But yeah, I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous with this film. I really love Indiana Jones. I really love Raiders of the Lost Ark is one of my favorite films of all time. I really liked Temple of Doom. Temple of Doom's obviously not my favorite of the original three. Last Crusade, I think, is as good as Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I actually don't mind Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I know a lot of people hate that film. I don't mind it. It was actually one of my early theater experiences. I remember going to seeing it with my big brother. So I think that, yeah, he introduced me to Indiana Jones. He went to see that film, and he took me with him. I think I kept talking to him a lot in the theater, asking him like, what's going on with Indy? Who's this guy with a whip? It was one of my early theater memories, so it kind of has like a soft spot for me. But in terms of an actual film, I don't mind it. Is it as good as the other 3? No, but it's fine for what it is. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to a 5th one. The fact that Steven Spielberg is not here really, really concerns me. So, speaking of new entries into franchises, let's talk about Star Trek. Now, Star Trek, we've known for a while, was originally supposed to have a 4th film within the Chris Pine set universe. But due to a lot of conversations with actors, pay rates, and just basically it came down to money, talks broke down, and we're not getting a Star Trek 4 anymore. And then a lot of talks came about with Tarantino doing a Star Trek film, but that sounded more like in theory. It wasn't like something that was actively in development from what I remember. Like Tarantino, I think, maybe said that he would be interested in doing a Star Trek film, and then all these headlines came out saying like Tarantino's going to do a Star Trek film, and I don't think that was what he meant. I think he just meant that, hey, if I was offered a Star Trek film, I mean, yeah, I would consider it, but I don't think he meant that he was actually doing a Star Trek movie. To my memory, I don't think. It looks like when Paramount made the announcement of all the shuffling going around, they also made an announcement that they are developing a new Star Trek film. Now, there are no plot details as to what this new Star Trek film entails. It does have a release date, though, of June 9th, 2023, and it sounds like it will be a separate thing. So it's not anything Tarantino related. It's not anything Chris Pine related. It sounds like a brand new thing. I believe it's also being produced by J.J. Abrams and his Bad Robot Company. I'm personally, I like the new Star Trek films. I didn't see the first Star Trek film, the first Star Trek of the J.J. Abrams trilogy. I have seen Star Trek Into Darkness and Beyond. I enjoyed Into Darkness. I know some people, for some reason or another, some people kind of like to hate on that movie nowadays. I thought Into Darkness was fine. And I actually did enjoy Beyond. I thought Beyond was fun. I think it was directed by Justin Lin, if I'm not mistaken. Um, it was good fun. It was it was my first date ever. I took a girl out to go see Star Trek Beyond. Yeah, it was not good. Not a good experience. The movie was fun, but the date was not good at all. But like, if you're ever gonna take a girl out to the theater, you take her to either a horror film, a comedy, or a romance. One of those three. Do not take her to some sci-fi thing. That's unless you know her that well. In this case, I didn't know this person that well, and I thought, let's just take them to see Star Trek, because why not? And I didn't have a car then, and then my big brother had to drive me, and I wore a bright orange shirt and some shorts. Thanks, Mom. That was my mom choosing out my outfit for me, to which I have learned to not do later, because I've learned, if you're ever going to go on a date, pick out your clothes and feel confident about your clothing as well. Don't, obviously ask someone, hey, does this look good and stuff, but don't let your mom pick your clothes out for you when you're going on a date. You know good and well how you have to look on a date. I've learned now, if I'm going to look, how I'm going to look for a date. But yeah, back then though, I trust my mom like so much when it came to stuff like this. And after that day, yeah, I pick out my clothes now. So, but yeah, fun little story with Star Trek Beyond. But getting back to Star Trek, beyond that, Beyond, I have not seen any of the other Star Trek films. I've not seen the classics. Yep, I've not seen any of the classic Star Trek films. I have not seen the Star Trek show. I've heard about the new Star Trek shows like Discovery, Picard, but I've not seen anything else Star Trek related. So I'm not sure what this could be. I'm not sure if there's anything within the lore that it could be integrated into a new film, or if this is another reboot and J.J. Abrams just happens to be producing it. Who knows? There's not a lot on it, so we can't really say what's happening with this project. But all we know is that they're looking to have it possibly start shooting next year if they have a 2023 release date. So we'll hear more about it probably later this year, probably some casting news, some directors. But as of right now, we know that a new Star Trek film is in development. We just don't know what that film is. It's definitely not Star Trek 4. We're not getting Star Trek 4. It sounds like Star Trek 4 is pretty much dead. And it doesn't sound like it's a Tarantino thing. Like I said, I don't think the Tarantino thing was even a thing to begin with. So I think that it is definitely a brand new thing. In what capacity that is, like a spin-off from those Chris Pine movies, a reboot, who knows. But we are definitely getting more Star Trek in the future. It's in the next 2 years. So we'll see what happens in 2 years' time with that new Star Trek film. Speaking of films that are in development, let's talk about Gundam. Yes, you heard that correctly. Gundam is getting its first live-action film. Now, Gundam has had many films. They've never had a live-action film before, though. They're finally getting their first crack at a live-action feature. And it will be directed by Jordan Vogt Roberts. If that name sounds familiar, he directed Kong Skull Island. And they already have a distributor and a place to release their film, which is going to be Netflix. Yes, Netflix is just grabbing everything they can. They got Knives Out 2 and 3. They got Sony releasing their films on home. They're streaming primarily on Netflix. And now Netflix has got Gundam. They're entering the anime area for their market. And again, good news for Netflix for them grabbing another piece like this. And from my knowledge, Hollywood's been trying to do Gundam for years. I remember hearing about a Gundam film back in I'm trying to think, because I used to do like journalism. I used to do like student news journalism. I used to be the entertainment guy back at my school. I remember reading about a Gundam film, a live-action Gundam film, back in I want to say 2018, so about 3 years ago. So it looks like it finally got off the ground, or at least they finally are now moving forward with it. I don't know anything about Gundam. Is it not like Pacific Rim, like where it's just mechs, like just big suits? Or is it like actual robots, like Transformers? Like if someone could explain to me what Gundam is, then maybe I'll be able to figure it out. Or maybe my interest may, get more. I'll say that the visually it looks cool. The suits look kind of interesting. And the director kind of speaks to a little bit as to what type of flavor we're probably going to get with Gundam. We're probably going to get something just pure fun, possibly cheesy, because that's what Kong Skull Island was to me. It was just fun, cheese, and entertaining though. I had some. How to say it? I had fun with Kong Skull Island in the vein that I had of Godzilla vs. Kong, which is that it's just cheese, but it's fun cheese. So it sounds like what Gundam might be, but we'll see. I'm just really really wowed by how much Netflix is getting. They got Knives Out 2 and 3. They've got Sony being the home now having their home releases being the primary place for their streaming releases. Let me rephrase it. And now they have a Gundam film in development. That's like that they're balling, as some people may say. So that's cool. So we're getting a Gundam film, so that will be interesting. Again, I don't know much about Gundam. I think it's like Pacific Rim, right? Where it's just mech suits. But you guys let me know what Gundam is, and if you guys are excited for a Gundam film, because I know there's a lot of Gundam fans out there. Alright, and the last stories we're going to do for today is that we have 2 trailers that dropped today, with today being the 14th. I'm going to release this on the 15th. We have a new trailer for Army of the Dead. Yes, Zack Snyder's new film, starring Dave Bautista and a bunch of newbies, at least to me. I don't know any of these people. New trailer dropped and will be released on Netflix on May 21st, 2021. And I'll say this. The first trailer I found to be, I believe I talked about it on the channel, I found it to be okay. This trailer is also okay, but it's slightly better than the first trailer. And the impression I got from it was it's like Suicide Squad meets World War Z. And if you like that combination, you're probably going to enjoy Army of the Dead. For me, though, those are 2 very, very average films. More or less World War Z than Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad I didn't really like. But they're 2 very average films for me. And the combination of those 2 looks like it's producing something that is possibly going to be mediocre for me. Again, I'm hoping it could be fun. I have lost a little bit of faith with Snyder as a storyteller because the 4-hour cut of Justice League I was hoping to be my answer to when people say like, oh, Snyder's not a great storyteller. I'll be like, well, he has a 4-hour cut where he has a lot of rich storytelling. And it's not the case with the Snyder cut. It's still very inconsistent and lacking a bunch of development. And I feel like the same case is going to be happening here with Army of the Dead. It also seems like it seems like it just kind of a momentary idea. Like, I remember hearing about Army of the Dead, but I don't remember it being like, this long production thing. I just remember hearing about it like once, and then all of a sudden they were like, oh, we're done filming. And I'm like, that seems kind of quick. So I feel like I'm hoping it's not. I would not be surprised if it's under 2 hours. Like, really, I wouldn't be that surprised, and I hope it's under 2 hours. If I find out it's like 2.5 hours, that sounds troubling. But yeah, it looks better, but not significantly better. But I'm hoping for the best for Army of the Dead. And the last thing we're going to talk about today is that we have our first trailer for Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. Yes, the sequel to Hitman's Bodyguard. With an all-star cast for the sequel. We have Ryan Reynolds returning, Salma Hayek, Samuel L. Jackson, Richard E. Grant, Frank Grillo, Antonio Banderas, and Morgan Freeman. So we got an all-star cast, directed by Patrick Hughes, who directed the first one, directed the first Hitman's Bodyguard, and it has a release date of June 16th, 2021. this looked not too great. I mean, of the two trailers, I liked Army of the Dead better, and I still say these are both looking mediocre. Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard looks way more mediocre than Army of the Dead. One joke worked. I remember one joke worked. I don't remember what the joke was, but I remember there was one joke in the trailer where I kind of chuckled at it. But other than that, it looks disposable in my opinion, and I think I could probably do without the film. I haven't seen the first one, but I remember saying the same thing when I saw the first trailer. When I saw the first trailer for the first movie, saying, it looks okay. This one looks the same. It looks okay. But maybe it'll be decent fun, who knows, but just from the first trailer, it looks very mediocre. And comparing to Army of the Dead looks better. But again, not significantly better. But that is pretty much it for today, guys. We talked a lot about releases, Netflix, just getting a bunch of stuff for their service. And you guys let me know what your guys' thoughts on all these topics. Do you think Indiana Jones 5 is actually going to happen? Do you guys think what do you think that new Star Trek film entails? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. And that is it for this video, guys. Make sure you guys are being safe out there. Wash your hands, social distancing, mask up, and we'll get through this together, guys. And I'm going to go crash now because now it's getting too late. Almost being 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to go hit the hay. So, yeah. Alrighty, guys. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.